Buying life insurance protects your spouse and your family from the potential devastating financial losses that could occur if you were to become critically ill or in the untimely occurrence of your passing. Folks, life insurance is important. To learn more about our life insurance solutions, please visit Sagicor.com. Also, we love answering your questions. Please feel free to click the link below to ask your questions. Fun prizes awaits you there.
Life insurance helps with tax savings. We look at this in two folds. When you pay your premiums on a monthly basis, you can benefit from tax deductions. And also, when you have a claim, there's no tax deductions coming off your lump sum when you receive your proceeds. To learn more about our life insurance solutions, please visit Sagicor.com. Also, we love answering your questions. Feel free to ask in the link below for a chance to win awesome prizes.
Health insurance is an insurance product that pays for medical and surgical expenses. How much the insurer covers and the policyholder pays depends on the policy details, while critical illness pays a lump sum if the policyholder is diagnosed with one of the covered illnesses: cancer, stroke, organ transplant, to name a few. To learn more about our health insurance and critical illness solutions, please visit Sagicor.com. Also, we love answering your questions. Feel free to ask them in the link below for a chance to win awesome prizes.
Yes, term life insurance policies are convertible. Conversion is the option to change your life insurance policy into a permanent one without having to do a medical evaluation. This can usually be done within a specified period in your contract. To learn more about our term life plan, visit us at Sagicor.com. Also, we love answering your questions. Feel free to ask them in the link below for a chance to win awesome prizes.
the arrival of the island's Prime Minister, the Honourable Philip Joseph Pierre. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem of St. Lucia. The anthem will be performed by the students of the Canon Laurie Anglican School. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just beg your indulgence for a few more moments, ask you to remain standing as I now call Mr. Sheldon Leon, head of sales St. Lucia, to do the invocation.
Heads bowed, eyes closed. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, first of all, for life, health, and strength, and for the opportunity to be here to celebrate this momentous occasion. We pray, dear Lord, that the proceedings today would run smoothly, and this moment, Lord, would be one etched in time, where the legacy of this company and the legacy of the stalwarts who have built it will be proclaimed through the chapters of history. So thank you, Lord, for your presence today, and we pray that you bless these proceedings. This we pray in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
And now it gives me pleasure to say, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. As we get our proceedings underway, my first trick is that of a disappearance. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
There are people whose lives can be measured by titles, and others whose impact is felt in the lives they shape.
Stephen, on behalf of Sagicor,
He did not build his life
all of our
around
people,
recognition. He built it
our
around
board,
responsibility.
and myself,
responsibility
I want to
whose
say
impact is felt in the lives they've shaped. He belongs to the second kind. He did not build his life around recognition. He built it around responsibility. Responsibility to his work, to his people, to the belief that whatever you are entrusted with, you leave it better than you found it. In the courtroom, there was precision. In leadership, there was clarity. But beyond the roles he held, there was something that defined him more. A steadiness, a consistency of character, a quiet discipline, a sense that no matter the moment, there would be thoughtfulness before action, principle before convenience, and people always at the center. He did not simply lead institutions, he helped guide their direction and how they serve others. For colleagues, he was a leader. For many, he was the standard. And beyond all of it, he is a husband, a father, a friend, a trusted voice, the roles that carry no title, but define everything. Because the true measure of a man is not only what he achieves, but what he gives of himself along the way. Today, we do not simply name a place, we honor a life. And we share the many ways he has shaped ours. The Honourable Dr. Stephen Mcnamara, yours is a life of influence. You are a standard of excellence and a legacy of people.
Minister for Finance, Constituency Development, People Empowerment, Justice and National Security, the Honourable Philip Joseph Pierre, Dr. Stephen Mcnamara, our esteemed and special guest of honor, his family and friends, Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louise, Governor General Emerita, Ministers of Government, Senator Dominic Fady, Representative of the Honourable Alan Chasney, Leader of the Opposition, Senator D. Lee, Deputy President of the Senate, Sir Calix George, Ms. Anne Margaret Adams, Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Commerce, Investment, Creative Industries, Culture and Heritage, Mr. Brian Louise, the Executive Director of the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, members of the Board of Sagicor, and I want to recognize Dr. the Most Honourable Doddridge Miller, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, the Most Honourable Ian Carrington, Dr. Archibald Campbell, Dr. Janine Comer, Mr. Gilbert Platter, Mr. Alan Ryder, Mr. Peter Calix, or Peter Clark, that should be. I want to also recognize Mr. Monish Dutt, Mr. David Wright, Mr. Andrew Aliang, Mr. Vern Gill, Ms. Nasha Begas, and Mr. Andrew Morel. I also want to recognize our host group president and CEO of Sagicor Financial Company Limited, Mr. Andre Mousseau. I want to recognize members of the Sagicor executive team. I want to recognize specially invited guests. I want to recognize you, ladies and gentlemen. And last but by no means least, I want to say a special good morning to our members from the media. What a long and extensive protocol list. Aren't you happy that all you have to say is protocol having been established? And so as we get things ready, I want to just first say how dapper all of you look. And we took our cue from our guest of honor. Have you seen Mr. Mcnamara? I invite you to stand, please. Stephen, stand and look at Mac in his true style. I think the only thing sharper than the way he dresses is his wit. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor, Mr. Stephen Mcnamara. I opted to ditch the tie, and I know Sagicor will dip my insurance for that, but my underwriters in Barbados says I'll be fine, because I thought it would be a hot and warm Caribbean morning, and so I came just with the rest that you see. In the words of the invader, just as I am, I come. That's for the local palace. It is indeed an honor, ladies and gentlemen, for us to be gathered here today, this morning, to rename the Sagicor Life Financial Center here at Shock Estate, a beautiful premise we're going to relocate the name, so to speak, and give it a new name in the honor of Dr. Stephen Mcnamara. In terms of names, mine is John Emmanuel. And I'll be your master of ceremonies for today's short but significant ceremony, a ceremony that helps us pay tribute to and recognize the outstanding contribution, service, and legacy of a distinguished son of the soil. You see, this moment for us marks one of reflection. It marks one of recognition. It marks one of leadership and dedication to a gentleman who has left an indelible mark on this institution, Sagicor. But it goes further. He has left an indelible mark on St. Lucia. And even further, he has left an indelible mark on the region. We therefore gather not only to unveil the name of a building, but to celebrate a rich and living legacy. And we are not gathered here for a funeral. This is not a eulogy. We will have some fun. We will enjoy the occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, as the bar has indeed been raised, and as we gather to honor one of our own, it would be a bit remiss of me if I did not acknowledge the wonderful contribution of the national anthem that was rendered by the students of the Canon Laurie Anglican School. Let's put our hands together for them once again. What a wonderful job they did. And if at all you were impressed, then rest assured, this comes as no surprise. Why? Because these talented students are, guess what? They're also the winners of the 2026 Sagicor-sponsored Schools Choir competition. And now we see exactly why they have secured that coveted title. I can go on, but it's not my job to. At this point, what is my job is to allow our first speaker to come to give you the welcome remarks. Our first speaker is Mr. Andrew Musso. Mr. Musso serves as Group President and Chief Executive Officer of Sagicor Financial Company Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to deliver the opening remarks, Mr. Andre Musso.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Quite literally the back of the envelope here. I am grateful that protocol has been observed, given the protocol list, but I would like to acknowledge our Prime Minister and the many members of Cabinet, as well as all of the dignitaries that have traveled here today, my fellow Sagicor directors and executives, many of whom have traveled quite some distance to be here. And so I'd like to say welcome on this unusually early morning for an event of this magnitude. We had many folks travel, and pretty much everyone we invited stuck their hand up, and if it was possible to come, they said that they would come. And so I've been told that this early hour was what was required to accommodate the logistics of inter-island travel. So thank you very much, and bear with us here. 3 years ago this summer, we established a new precedent in which we allowed ourselves to indulge ourselves and to name our very important buildings after our most important and, frankly, our favorite people and our most important contributors. And so 3 years ago, this August, it would be, the old Mutual building in Barbados became the Doddridge D. Miller Building for Economic Justice. And having established that precedent, we've realized that we can name our buildings for our very, very best, and we can do so while they're at the peak of their powers. And so when it was brought to my attention that we might do this for Chairman Mcnamara, I was overwhelmed with enthusiasm because of the importance that he has held for all of Sagicor. And indeed, as I have socialized this throughout the system, the spectrum of of responses from people who know or know of Chairman Mcnamara has been somewhere along the lines of, oh, well, of course, that's an excellent idea, and goodness gracious, haven't you done it already? And so this just seems to us to make sense. Chairman Mcnamara, in many ways, embodies the Platonic ideal of a modern chairman of a highly complex organization. He is universally respected, universally liked, and through his keen wit and insight and stewardship, he has been able to steward Sagicor through looking back what has been a monumental transformation from an institution that was grounded in the culture and geographic footprint going back to the start of your tenure to an organization that was really harkened back to the 19th century through an enormous modernization and culture shift and geographic expansion to a company that today is truly a regional champion throughout the Caribbean, and in fact now has marched further north and is unique in being an indigenous Caribbean champion that has expanded beyond, first to the UK and now very successfully to North America. And truly, this has been an enormous task of transformation and change through calm weather and some storm and some wind. And truly, Chairman, it could not have been done without you. So we do hope that you take this modest token of our appreciation in the spirit in which that it is given, in the spirit of being grateful and of friendship. And we do hope that it serves as a small reminder to yourself and to future generations of St. Lucia of the indelible mark that you have left on us. Thank you very much.
behalf of Sagicor, all of our people, our board, and myself, I want to send you warmest congratulations, and on behalf of Sagicor, all of our people, our board, and myself, I want to send you warmest congratulations and share my deep gratitude to you for your 25 years of extraordinary service to Sagicor and to the Caribbean.
It is always a joy and an honor to contribute towards the celebration of a distinguished colleague who is held in the highest esteem and regard.
I have known Mr. Mcnamara for approximately 16 years. The first word that comes to mind when I hear the name Stephen Mcnamara, or when I see Mr. Stephen Mcnamara, is noble, and other words come by quickly: meticulous, witty, and steadfast.
We grew up together, we did the whole school together, Methodist Infant, Methodist Primary, St. Mary's College, and then we went to school in England, to boarding school together.
His contribution to Sagicor transcends his work on the balance sheet. His character, his personality is more than the asset on the balance sheet. It is that, of course, but it is also more.
Grace, style, levity, and gravity somehow at the same time. And he's incredibly gracious, a true gentleman. He finds a way to put everyone at ease. Then, in the boardroom, he is a wonderful leader. He can diffuse a moment of tension with a perfect quip, but equally he can come in like lightning to focus a discussion. Stephen embodies the Platonic ideal of a chairman. Sagicor has been lucky to have been graced with his presence and so much of his time and attention. In many ways, he represents the very best of the values and qualities to which we aspire.
You know, my father is thoroughly deserving of this. He sacrificed a lot to achieve these things. And like I tell everybody, it's no secret, it's hard work. That's all it is. And my father personifies that.
Well, Steve, I tell you, Steve is a lot like my woman. He's very conscientious. If Steve put his mind to do something, he will get it done.
Mr. Mcnamara is very sentimental. Sometimes I walk through his office and I would say to him, "Sir, that has to go." And he would just look at me and smile. And that would say it all. Leave my thing right there. Sometimes it may be a chair or a wooden clock. I think he even has a wooden radio.
The first thing you notice about Stephen, he is a very snappy dresser. He has this Savile Row meets island color style that is impeccable and unique.
One time he was walking through London and he was wearing a yellow outfit.
And there was a tradesman working on some scaffolding on a building.
And one of the builders across the road shouted at him
in his, quintessential English accent, says, "Oi, mate, what are you, a banana?" And I think most people would have taken that as an absolute insult, probably run, put the clothes in the back of a drawer, never worn them again. My dad thought that was like the biggest compliment that anybody could ever give him. I think he went out and bought the same outfit again so that he always had another pair, just in case he should meet another guy on a scaffolding who could compliment him on his attire.
Did my brother give that joke? The same one? Yeah, I figured they would,
Keep doing what you're doing for the last 75 years and you'll be good, because he's done it brilliantly so far.
In the future, I wish Mr. Mcnamara long life, health, and happiness.
I think it's an amazing achievement to have a building named after you, and I think it shows his dedication to Sagicor. It shows his dedication to work, his dedication to people, and so it's just to say congrats, and hopefully they'll name a boat after you next.
Mcnamara is a quintessential corporate colleague, a good corporate citizen, a good man in his dealings with all around him. And I am honored, indeed, I'm overjoyed in having this opportunity to say a few things as Sagicor salutes Mcnamara.
My wish for him is a simple one: good health, happiness, a long life, and continued prosperity and success in all of his endeavors. Time with family, time for the things he loves, and the deep satisfaction of knowing that the institutions he gave so much to are stronger because of him.
What a wonderful tribute. And fun fact, he does have the wooden radio, although it's beginning to pooey. Again, local parlors, the termites are getting to it. At this point, I want to recognize the presence of the Speaker of the House of Assembly of St. Lucia, the Honourable Dr. Claudius Francis. Thanks indeed, Mr. Speaker, for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, what a moving set of tributes. What we have just heard reflects the depth, the admiration, and the respect to which Dr. Mcnamara is held. They speak not only of a distinguished career, but of a life marked by integrity, of purpose, and enduring influence. Dr. Mcnamara's legacy is not measured only by his accomplishments, and they are many, but by the people he has inspired, guided, and supported along the way. That list, too, is many. We were also treated to a beautiful presentation by the Les Danseurs Traditionnels de Saint Lucie, true fixtures on the local folk scene here in St. Lucia, and a profound expression of our national pride and our cultural heritage. I tell you what, I used to dance once upon a time. Yes, many, many years ago. I tell people I'm old, I just look good. I danced, but I had to give it up because unlike the cultural heritage, mine was a bit exotic and I had to put it to the back. You see, we also had a wonderful, wonderful welcome from our CEO, Mr. André Mousseau, and we want to thank him as well for doing that and for setting the stage for our next speaker, which we will now call on. The next speaker is no stranger to Dr. Mcnamara. He is a former group president and chief executive officer of Sagicor Financial and is now a director on many of Sagicor's boards. He also serves as chancellor of the University of the West Indies. I guess you know who I'm referring to. He has worked alongside Dr. Mcnamara for many years and continues to do so. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to invite to deliver his address the Most Honourable Dr. Doddridge Miller to deliver his remarks. Dr. Doddridge Miller, please.
This feels a little bit like to serve with love. What do you say to someone who's had such an enormous impact on your life over the years? Honourable Prime Minister, Dr. Stephen Mcnamara and Mrs. Mcnamara, President and CEO of Sagicor, Mr. Andrew Mousseau, Vice Chancellor of the University of West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, members of the Cabinet, Ministers of Government, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This morning we gather for a moment that is both historic and deeply personal. We're here not simply to rename a building, but to honor a man whose leadership, integrity, and unwavering commitment have shaped Sagicor, strengthened St. Lucia, and contributed profoundly to the Caribbean. Today, we inscribe into the landscape of this country what has long been etched into the DNA of our company, the legacy of Dr. Stephen Mcnamara. When Dr. Mcnamara joined the board of the Barbados Mutual, now Sagicor, in 1997, the company was a proud but modest Barbados company, a life insurer with a handful of offices across the region. What followed over the next 2.5 decades was one of the most remarkable transformations in Caribbean corporate history, and Dr. Mcnamara stood at the center of it all. From director to vice chairman and ultimately chairman, he helped guide Sagicor through a period defined by ambition, disciplined execution, and the belief that Caribbean institutions could stand confidently on the world stage. Under his leadership, Sagicor achieved milestones once thought unthinkable for a regional company. The historic demutualization of the Barbados Mutual after 160 years, creating 40,000 new Caribbean shareholders, including more than 8,000 from the Eastern Caribbean. Becoming the first Caribbean company to be listed on the main board of the London Stock Exchange. Our strategic entry into the United States insurance market in 2005, the groundbreaking international bond placement in 2006, and the first ever Standard & Poor's rating for a Caribbean company. And ultimately, the transformative merger with Alliance Capital, culminating in our listing on the Toronto Stock Exchange. These achievements would be impressive for a global company. For a Caribbean company, they were extraordinary. They required courage, clarity of purpose, and governance of the highest order, and Dr. Mcnamara brought all three to the table. As chairman, he steered Sagicor through the turbulence of the global financial crisis and the prolonged economic challenges that followed across the region. Under his guidance, Sagicor remained financially sound, operationally strong, and strategically focused. He never allowed us to lose sight of our shared vision to be a company that contributes to the development of the people of the communities in which we operate. A powerful example of this vision came in 2013 when Dr. Mcnamara demonstrated his deep sense of regional responsibility as Sagicor participated in the rehabilitation of the Baco Life Insurance portfolio in the Eastern Caribbean. Working with governments and regulators, he helped secure the financial futures of thousands of Eastern Caribbean policyholders. For his service to the region, he was made a commander of the British Empire. He was conferred with an honorary Doctor of Laws from the University of the West Indies, and more recently, the St. Lucia Cross, the nation's highest honor. These distinctions simply confirm what we all know. Dr. Mcnamara is one of the Caribbean's finest sons. But beyond the titles and the transactions, there is the man himself, a man of integrity, a man of quiet strength, a man who leads without fanfare but with conviction, a man who listens, a man who encourages, who guides, a man who believes deeply in the Caribbean as a unified survival space, a region whose destiny must be shaped by its own people. Dr. Mcnamara is respected not only for what he has accomplished, but for how he accomplished it, with grace, humility, a steady hand, and a very generous spirit. On a personal note, I want to say this. Dr. Stephen Mcnamara is one of the best chairmen I have ever worked with. For more than 25 years, I've watched him lead with wisdom, challenge us to reach higher, and remind us always that our work must serve the people of this region. He has been a mentor, a partner, and a friend. His influence on my own professional journey is profound, and I am deeply grateful. Beyond the boardroom, his love for tennis, cricket, and the creative arts, and literature, reflects a mind that is both disciplined and expansive, a mind rooted in community, culture, and a deep sense of responsibility. And so today, as we rename this building the Stephen Mcnamara Building, we do more than honor a chairman. We honor a legacy. We honor a philosophy of leadership grounded in excellence, integrity, and service. We honor a Caribbean man who believes that our region must build institutions of global standing, and then he went right out and built one. Dr. Stephen Mcnamara, on behalf of the Sagicor Group, on behalf of the Caribbean people you have served, and on behalf of all of us who have walked this journey with you, I say thank you. Thank you for your vision, for your leadership, for your unwavering commitment to this company and to this region. May this building stand as a permanent reminder of your contribution, your character, and your belief in what the Caribbean can achieve. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in celebrating the extraordinary legacy of Stephen Mcnamara. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Spoken indeed like someone who shared a long history with our guest of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guest, we have now arrived at the moment for which we have all been waiting, the unveiling. I now want to invite our distinguished guest of honor, the Honourable Dr. Stephen Mcnamara, accompanied by Mrs. Mcnamara, along with the island's Prime Minister, the Honourable Philip Joseph Pierre, Mr. Andre Musso, and Dr. the Most Honourable Dodridge Miller, to make their way to the front of the building for the official unveiling of the new signage, and of course to view, lay their eyes, the first set, to see the bust. Those I call to the front of the building. The remainder of the audience, we ask you to watch on by means of the big screen. I will attempt to give you a running commentary. How are you guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? Everybody's good? We're good? We can survive the 2 minutes, the 3 minutes that they take to do the actual cutting. Let's see what we see, and let's start our commentary. There we see the island's Prime Minister. Oh, and what's that swagger? The usual swagger. Me boss lad doing his thing. The usual swagger. Of course, joining there by the Mcnamara family. Them being ushered towards the step of the pretty fancy-looking Sagicor building. Anybody realize that the building also changed color? To me, this building used to be blue, and now the building is green. Anybody have a mango? You know what happens when you put a green mango to get ripe? It changes color, right? But the mango typically has an option between two other colors. Typically, the mango either goes red or yellow. So I suggest that's the next colors for Sagicor. Keep your eye on that. And now back to the moving commentary. There we see those fine, fine staircases. I'm just joking, guys. We're waiting. We're waiting for them to cut it. Mr. Cameraman, show me something to talk about. There we go. There's a sign. I can see a name. I wonder what it is. I wonder what's been held up there. Somebody's pulling something somewhere. There's going to be an unveiling, ladies and gentlemen. There it comes. Oh, the wind is helping us. It's a breezy Caribbean morning. And there we go. Somebody has pulled to the right. Building is now exposed. Stephen is now exposed. What's in the middle of Stephen and building? There we go. In true Sagicor form, it's taking a while. Oh, did I say that loud? And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Stephen Mcnamara building. Painted green, signature of the tie worn by our guest of honor this morning. There we have it. I think the party may go in to view the bust. It's located on the inside of the building. Let's see if our camera crew can bring you that. Given my super hearing, I heard the drum rolls from the back. We have now entered the building. Let's see what happens there. In the words of Joseph Reds Pereira, who is seated in the audience, I was unaware. There it is, on the inside. I get a glimpse. Oh, there it is, and there is the bust. The Honourable Dr. Stephen David Rupert Mcnamara, SLC, CBE, LLD. Congratulations. Wow. There it is. This is the new name for the building, the new Sagicor headquarters here at Shock. Take it in, ladies and gentlemen. You will get a chance to see the bust personally in a few moments' time. When the party makes their way back to their station, we will hear from our guest of honor himself, Dr. Mcnamara, after which we will hear from the island's Prime Minister. And so we take just about a 1-minute pause. Back in a moment. as our party make their way back, ladies and gentlemen, we want to invite to serenade all of you a violinist in the person of Michael Fletcher. gentlemen, violinist Michael Fletcher. Michael will just say good morning to the Sagicor team. Say hi, Mike.
I'd like to say a pleasant good morning to everyone here. Good morning.
I always tell Michael he's wasting his time doing violinist. He has a tremendous voice. I know he's going to develop it even more in time to come. Michael Fletcher, ladies and gentlemen. Today indeed stands as a source of immeasurable pride. I'm sure no one is prouder than our guest of honor himself. Did you see that bust? Even the little freckle and the little side. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me now in extending a truly warm and majestic welcome to the Honourable Dr. Stephen Mcnamara, in whose honor this building now proudly stands to address us. Dr. Mcnamara, please.
Can't believe the cover of this is the same color as the jacket. Somebody must be working in my interest. Ladies and gentlemen, to say that I'm overwhelmed by all that has happened here today would be an understatement. But before I carry on, I just want to acknowledge the protocol having, as we've said, been observed, the presence of our Prime Minister and the members of his cabinet. I know the Prime Minister has made adjustments to his schedule in order to be here and to fulfill a promise he made to me at Government House 5 weeks ago when he said he would be here. And he rang me the other day to tell me that that promise would not be broken. And I'm delighted that he's been able to come, and as with the other members of his cabinet. Their presence has and will elevate this event. I'd also like to recognize Dame Paulette Louisi, our former Governor General. Dame Paulette was the Governor General of St. Lucia for 2 decades, and she carried out that task flawlessly for that entire time, and this has caused her to have endeared herself to the entire nation. The present Governor General, speaking of Governor Generals, would have liked to be here, he told me, but it was very sad. I was abroad recently to hear that he had become ill, and so he is on sick leave and therefore cannot be here today. And I'd just like, I'm sure I can speak, as I have had to speak occasionally on behalf of the whole Sagicor group and on my own behalf, to wish him a very speedy recovery and a return to his official duties. I'd like to also recognize the many members of the Sagicor boards of directors, senior management and other members of staff who flew here last evening to attend this ceremony. Your presence is greatly valued. I know that you're all very busy people, and I appreciate you taking the time off to be in St. Lucia on this occasion. Yeah. I also wish to acknowledge the Herculean work expended by all at Sagicor in the staging of this event. I know it's been a massive team effort, and everyone's hard work is hugely appreciated. But I feel I must mention by name a triumvirate of ladies who have been in the forefront of the planning and the plotting. There's a lot of plotting that went on behind my back for this occasion in order to surprise me with various things, and I have to say that plotting and scheming has worked. I've seen some things here today which have been surprising. The ladies I speak of are Ingrid Card from Jamaica, Harriet Braffett from Barbados, and our own Carol Mangal. Thank you all very much for everything that you have done. I also welcome the presence of each and every one of you at this naming ceremony. It means a great deal to be surrounded and supported by colleagues, friends, and family on this momentous occasion. I occasionally find myself at a loss for words, but never more so than today, after witnessing the unveilings, which I am still absorbing, and which I accept are a phenomenal accolade, albeit somewhat overwhelming, and perhaps even a trifle Trumpian, don't you think? Now I know how he feels. I am deeply grateful for having this building a place of purpose, trust, stability, and one that serves the future of St. Lucia bear my name. This is an honor I accept with pride, but, and I wish to emphasize and recognize, that no journey like mine is made alone. In this regard, I'd like to say with certainty, and in the hope that this would be a takeaway of yours today, that I would not be standing here but for the people who I was fortunate enough to find in situ at the entities on whose boards I've served, or whom I was able to appoint to serve in positions of authority. To name but a few, the Most Honourable Doddridge Miller, who you've just heard, and thank you, Doddridge, for those very kind words. He and I have trodden a considerable path together, and you need to know that, you know, if it wasn't for Doddridge, I mean, whilst I've been doing all these things, I've been here in St. Lucia practicing law full bore every day. I had to know that the people who were with me were people who I could trust, who were honest, who were visionary, and who had the grasp of the institution and the ability to move it. And Doddridge, in terms of Sagicor, was that person, and to a large extent carried me along. There was at the tourist board the Honourable Alan Chasney and Mrs. Agnes Francis, who are here. At Lucilec, Mr. Trevor Louisi, and at the St. Lucia Tennis Association, Mr. Digbury Ambris and Siler Murray. These were and are the hard-working, honest and visionary people who did the heavy lifting that brought about the accomplishments for which I have recently and am today receiving the credit. I could not have envisaged in 1997, when Arthur Bethel, a previous Sagicor chairman and a true Sagicorian gentleman, came to St. Lucia to invite me to join the board of the Barbados Mutual, that nearly 30 years later, I would find myself standing here today on an occasion such as this. Arthur died recently, and it is a matter of great regret for me that he isn't here today to see how the journey which he commenced in 1997 has ended, not to mention the trouble that he's caused. But Arthur, I'm sure, now has the best seat in the House, where he can look down. You may recognize, those of you, and I'm sure there are many of you here who pay attention to the cricket, and so you would recognize the name Bethel, and particularly the name Jacob Bethel, who now plays for England but is a Barbadian born, and he would have been Arthur's, or is Arthur's, grandson. And Arthur always told me in his later years, you know, I've got a grandson who is going to be an outstanding cricketer, and Arthur would not have said it unless it was so. Arthur himself, having played for Barbados, and Doddridge and Sir Hilary can say, but probably was on the cusp of playing for the West Indies, so he would know what a good cricketer looked like. And it is again a matter of regret that he hasn't been here to see the accomplishments of his grandson, albeit for England. But I'm sure that where Arthur sits now, he will have an overarching view of the pitch and be able to appreciate everything that his grandson is doing. I was never focused on seeking acknowledgements, titles, or recognition. And whilst these distinctions are appreciated, they were never the fuel or the goal. They were simply the echo of the work. The Sagicor experience has been a remarkable one, filled with hard work, but also the mental stipulation of serving on a board with some of the most talented individuals in this region and beyond, and engaging in the exchange of ideas and perspectives, which perspectives have been broadened and shaped by the travels to various countries to which my board and chairmanship duties have taken me, such as the United States, the United Kingdom, to Canada, to Panama, Aruba, all of the Caribbean islands, all being places where Sagicor has business and interest which required pursuing and developing. On the subject of my travel, I'm delighted to see in the audience here today Camilla Knight from our Barbados office, all of the directors of Sagicor and all the management know Camila. She is the one who made sure over the last umpteen years that I've gotten where I was meant to go, and that when I got there, I would have somewhere to spend the night. And she has pursued that for all of the Sagicor directorate. Yeah. Always sending emails at 2 o'clock in the morning to tell you where you've got to be at 6 o'clock in the morning and that sort of thing. On the lighter note, I fondly recall attending the Sagicor conventions, where around 200 of Sagicor's best agents participate in various activities, whether it was dancing in a tango competition in Argentina, or being given a nightie and socks with instructions to raid the larder late at night in a hotel in Ireland. These are the sort of things that go on at conventions, which is why Mr. Miller avoids them and has done. This beautifully renovated and redecorated building signifies much more than mere bricks and mortar. It serves as a testament to our collective efforts, long hours, tough decisions, shared triumphs, and the steadfast belief that we could create something lasting and significant. Let the inscription of my name on it serve as a tribute to every individual who has played a role in this journey, past and present directors, management, staff, and partners. This honor belongs to and should be shared by all of us. Throughout the years, I've had the privilege of serving initially as a director and subsequently as the chairman of the Sagicor Group, and now for the time being as chairman of its operating entity, Sagicor Life. In these capacities, I've come to understand that true leadership transcends titles and accolades. It embodies stewardship. It involves ensuring that the organization adheres to its core values, remains flexible in the face of change, and is unwavering in its duty to those it serves. To the board and leadership team, I extend my gratitude for your trust, collaboration, bravery, and, on occasions, patience. To the employees of this company, you are the heart and its strength. Your commitment and professionalism have formed the bedrock of our achievements. The unveiling of a bust in my likeness is, I must confess, an exceptionally surreal experience, particularly and not made any better by the fact that the bust looks is rather better looking than the original from what I've just seen. I hope that this building, which will house the bust and the name it now bears, will not only act as a beacon of financial wisdom, but also serve as a resource to the St. Lucian community, where they can obtain sound financial advice to assist them in reaching their personal aspirations through achieving financial security. It symbolizes not merely one individual's journey, but what can be accomplished when people unite with purpose, vision, integrity, and a collective dedication to excellence. I would also like to express my appreciation to my family. Your support and understanding has been my foundation throughout this journey. Any recognition I receive today is in many respects a testament to your sacrifices as well. I need to recognize my only and therefore favorite brother, Anthony, who has been my sidekick, both in the law and out of it. And my two sons, Rory and Jonathan. Rory, unfortunately, wasn't able to be here today. But as you saw, he sent his greetings. I couldn't go on. I won't go on much longer, but I can't go on any longer without saying a few words with respect to my wife, Bridget. A month ago, last April, I think, I'm sure it was the 12th, we would have been married for 51 years. 51 glorious years. And throughout this time, Bridget has been of the utmost support to me in all of the endeavors which you have heard described, all of them being impossible without the fact that she was here holding the fort and improving it more so perhaps than if I was here. There were many occasions when I ought to have been here and I wasn't. Occasions when I promised to be back and I wasn't able to get back because we had another meeting or some airline fell into disrepair and I couldn't get back. Speaking of not getting back, she and I often laugh about the occasion when I was coming back from Miami some years ago, and there had been a storm in St. Lucia. You will remember it because it shut down Honourable Airport. So I got to the airport in Miami and was at the desk chatting to the gentleman. There's a little bit of confusion going on, but you know, we were getting ready to board, and I said to the chap behind the desk, "Now listen, old man, my wife says that this plane is not going to be allowed to land in St. Lucia." So he said, no, we're pressing on. We have our intelligence. We're going to St. Lucia. So we all got on board. There were 4 or 5 other friends of mine who happened to be on the flight. And of course, as we were hovering somewhere over the Turks and Caicos, the captain came on and said, you know, Honourable Airport is shut. You're not going. And so we had to go back to Miami. And so we ended up back at Miami Airport. I ring up my wife and say, listen, I'm in a terrible state here. I got no hotel. Doesn't look as though we know when we're getting out of here. May have to sleep on the floor here. Things are really bleak. Get hold of the travel agent, see what you can do, and so on. In the meanwhile, these 3 or 4 friends who had some contacts had got us into the American Airlines lounge. And not only got us into the lounge, but they managed to get all these tickets from the people who ran the lounge for free drinks. So I'm sitting there with my 2 feet cocked up, a glass of wine in one hand, and all this one of these chaps can think of doing is taking a picture of this and putting it on Facebook, and it is then sent to Bridget shortly after I told of my dire straits and the fact that I was a refugee. I had nowhere to go. But as usual, she took it on the chin, and as I say, we have enjoyed 51 wonderful years together. Normally as cricketers we take a fresh guard at 100, but she and I have taken a fresh guard at 50, and we will see what the score ends up being. I hope you'll be all there to see it. I would also like to briefly mention my parents, Desmond and Phyllis, who, had they been alive to witness this, would have been tickled pink and quite delighted by recent awards and today's event. My father, though, would simply have said, "To whom much is given," and he would have added in his own words, "Much more is expected." But anyhow, again, Desmond and Phyllis, I'm sure, are taking this in from somewhere. Before concluding, I'd like to return to my theme of shared recognition for this honor. All things remaining equal, I shall drive past this building twice every day, in the morning as I go to work, and again in the evening as I go back home. And when I look up, traffic permitting of course, and as you know these days the traffic does permit, as I look up, I want to assure you that I will see not only my name, but the names of all the people at Sagicor, at the St. Lucia Tourist Board and at Lucilec, and at the Tennis Association, who are unequivocally the ones who have carried my name and my likeness, respectively, to the pinnacle and to the interior of this building. I shall not forget them. As we look forward, I'm filled with hope. Sagicor is now 186 years old. And although much has been accomplished during that time, its finest days are not in the past, but lie ahead. I say this because the group is now in the very capable hands of a progressive board of directors led by our new chairman, Mahmood Kimji, who you saw a moment ago, and with their policies being implemented by our new and talented CEO, Mr. Andre Musso, and his exceptional management team and staff. The challenges we encounter will change, but our ability to confront them with innovation, strength and unity will also evolve. Thank you once more for this remarkable honor. I accept it with gratitude, humility, and a renewed commitment to the ongoing success of this extraordinary institution. God bless Sagicor, God bless St. Lucia, and may we persist in constructing a future that we can all take pride in. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can all agree that this has been a very thirst-provoking morning. And notwithstanding the earliness of the hour, we should shortly seek to rectify this and go and have a beverage or two with our friends once these proceedings have concluded. And I look forward to seeing you all and chatting to all of you as we do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I noted there, Doc, the Trumpian nature. And when you mentioned the two sons, for 1 minute I thought you would say Eric and Don Jr. Thank you indeed. We are delighted to be part of you celebrating this momentous occasion. I want to just say a big shout out to the folks online. I want to remind you that we are streaming live our proceedings, and so we are grateful for those who are joining us online for today's unveiling and renaming. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to invite to deliver remarks the island's Prime Minister, the Honourable Philip Joseph Pierre, who is also Minister for Finance, Constituency Development, People Empowerment, Justice, and National Security. Honourable Prime Minister, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies. Trust me, I will not be long, because I've taken the advice of Dr. Mcnamara in that there are refreshments available. But I want to warn my cabinet colleagues, they have to go back to work. Let me recognize the members of the cabinet, the senior minister, Minister for Health, the Minister of Education and Sports, the Speaker of the House, Dr. Claudius Francis, the guest of honor, Honourable Dr. Stephen Mcnamara and Mrs. Mcnamara, the CEO of Sagicor, Professor Hilary Beckles, and other members of the board of Sagicor, Governor General Emeritus Dame Paulette Louisi. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. I thank Sagicor for the invitation to be present and to offer brief remarks at today's ceremony. You have advised that this occasion is to honor a truly remarkable individual whose contributions to St. Lucia span the fields of law, sports, and business. It is fitting that we gather to celebrate such a life of service and achievement, for his work has touched the nation in ways both profound and lasting. It may not be well known how far back I remember Stephen Mcnamara. I actually worked for him at some point, and I must say he paid me. I also worked for his son, Rory, and he paid me also. So I have known him for a long time. I know and I remember the Mcnamara family, from his father Desmond to his two aunts, his brother Anthony. He lived, Honourable Stephen Mcnamara has lived a life that is truly exemplary, and St. Lucians remember him from his boyhood days to his practice as a lawyer and his contribution to sports and the community and public office. Stephen Mcnamara attended church at the then Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception in Castries, went to St. Mary's College, played cricket at the Munifield Park, lived in Castries, firstly in the corner of Calvary and Lance Road, and then at Lance Road. He always displayed a sense of quiet dignity, never using his position or status to the detriment of others. As a lawyer, his practice was marked by ethics, fairness, and within the framework of justice and respect for the rule of law. I remember him negotiating with me as a minister, when I was Minister of Tourism, on behalf of investors. I recall that even if he sought the best for his clients, he insisted that there must be some benefit for the state and the people of St. Lucia from the investments. His contribution to the tourism industry demonstrated vision and innovation. In sports, Stephen Mcnamara not only elevated lawn tennis to a degree of prominence, but helped develop several St. Lucian players to be regional and international lawn tennis players. Each pair reflects a different dimension of his character, yet together they present a portrait of a man who has given much to the island of St. Lucia. It is precisely because of this reason that my government recognizes his immense value, that earlier this year, during our 47th Independence Anniversary Award ceremony, we conferred upon him our country's second highest order, the St. Lucia Cross. That distinction was not lightly given. It was a deliberate acknowledgement of his dedication, his leadership, and his unwavering commitment to advancing the causes that strengthen our society. Today, as we stand in recognition of his achievements, let us also be reminded that honoring such individuals is not merely ceremonial. It is a reaffirmation of the values we hold dear as a people: service, excellence, and devotion to country. For all he has done, and on behalf of a grateful nation, I extend our deepest gratitude. I congratulate Sagicor Financial for the foresight in seeing it fitting to rename the Sagicor Financial Center building in his honor. I have no hesitation in supporting this initiative and look forward to Sagicor continuing to play an integral part in the economic life of St. Lucia. This renaming and the unveiling of the bust of his likeness will ensure that his contribution to the institution will remain etched in the memory of the country and the clients who conduct business in this building. I wish Stephen and his family well and look forward to his further contribution to St. Lucia. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister, for your remarks. We appreciate them. As we draw this historic and memorable occasion to a close, I'd like to invite Mr. Robert Trestrail, President and CEO of Sagicor Life, Inc., Southern Caribbean Operations, to deliver our vote of thanks. Bob, the show is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here and an honor to be here, and a special honor to be asked to do the closing remarks. All protocols having been observed, Mr. Prime Minister, your members of Cabinet, dignitaries, Speaker of the House, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to recognize Dr. Mcnamara, someone who I have had the privilege of knowing for the past 25 years. And all that has been said about him this morning, from my perspective, doesn't really paint the full picture, because he is far better than everything that has been said. I wish to extend our sincere congratulations to Dr. Mcnamara on behalf of Sagicor Life. As has been echoed throughout this ceremony, your work has set a standard that we are all proud to continue. Ladies and gentlemen, today's proceedings remind us of the importance of honoring people, not in hindsight, but in the fullness of their contribution. Today illustrates that recognition is most powerful when it is given while influence is still being felt, wisdom still being shared, and examples still being lived. This moment also challenges us. It calls each of us to be more deliberate in how we recognize those around us, to pause long enough to say, your work matters, it is valued, and thank you. To our guest of honor, the Honourable Dr. Stephen Mcnamara, thank you for your tireless service and for leaving a mark to which even the best among us can aspire. To Dr. Mcnamara's family, friends, and loved ones, thank you for sharing him with us. We recognize that such elevated service requires sacrifice, and for that, we are truly and eternally grateful. We are also honored by the presence of our distinguished guests, including Honorable Prime Minister Philip Pierre. Thank you for your dignified presence here today, sir, and for your thoughtful and reflective thanks. We also recognize the presence of Honorable Claudius Francis, Speaker of the House, and thank him for joining us here today as well. We also deeply appreciate the presence of Dame Paulette Louisi, Governor General Emerita, whose gracious attendance has added distinction to this occasion. I was listening to Mr. Mcnamara's address earlier, and he did much of my work, vote of thanks. In particular, he thanked many people who we won't see here today up on the stage, but with today's event would never have happened. So he recognized Ingrid Card, Harriet Brathwaite, Carol Mangle, and Camilla Knight, 4 ladies who are very important to all that has happened here today. And we could not go today without recognizing them as well. To the members of Cabinet and all other distinguished guests, we thank you sincerely for taking time from your schedules to celebrate this moment with us. Our deepest gratitude is also extended to the members of the Board of Directors of Sagicor, as well as my colleagues in executive leadership, whose support made this initiative possible. By extension, I wish to thank my fellow speakers, our Group President and CEO, Mr. Andrew Musso, for the warm welcome, the Most Honourable Doddridge Miller, for also taking time to the podium to expound on the amazing work of Dr. Mcnamara. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a few beverages awaiting. Everybody's a little thirsty. I'm going to shut up now. Thank you very much for being here with us this morning. Have a pleasant day.
Thank you, Mr. Strestrail. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We have come to the end of the formal proceedings, but not to the end of our celebrations. I thank you most sincerely for joining us for this historic and deeply meaningful occasion. Today we celebrated legacy, we celebrated leadership, we celebrated service, all values that are embodied in our guest of honor and that will continue to resonate for generations to come. Join me again in saying a last congratulations to Dr. Mcnamara on his wonderful achievement. Thank you so very much. We invite you all to stay on with us for some refreshments, but because of the protocol, we will invite the Prime Minister, our guest of honor, the Speaker of the House, the members of the Cabinet, along with the Governor General Emerita, to exit first, and after which the rest of the audience, you're more than welcome to make your way to the refreshment area. You can also view as well the unveiled bust and the new sign on the building. My name is John Emmanuel. The pleasure was mine in hosting you. Have a good day. We'll see you again at some disputed barricade. Good morning, everyone.